Well, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. And thank you guys for tuning in to another video, episode 50 coming at you guys. A nice big round number, a nice big round milestone for us here at CFF to get to episode 50. And super excited to have Matthew Peterson be joining us today as our guest for episode number 50. We've had Matthew on in the past. Matthew currently running back for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So excited to have Matthew on here shortly to chat once again. But before we do, of course, folks, if you guys are enjoying all of our content here on the channel, I know it's been a little bit of a delay since we did upload last, but please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share as well. Be a friend, tell a friend about what we got going on here at the Canadian Football Fanatics. As I said, folks, apologies for a little bit of things kind of going not as planned, but just due to off-season things with guests and whatnot, it didn't work out the way we had hoped originally, but we got it all under control now. We have probably a few episodes banked that are going to be coming at you guys nice and quick, as we promised you guys to have 2 episodes coming out per month. A little bit late coming out with these 2, so as I mentioned, apologies on our end, but probably going to drop this on maybe like the 26th or 27th of February to end. And then we already have episode 51, as I mentioned, recorded, teed up, and ready to go. So we'll probably drop that either to end the month or maybe even in the first week of March there. So stay tuned, folks. We have some episodes banked. We're going to be getting that out to you guys here shortly. And then, of course, we're getting into March already. I can't believe it, but that means combine season is basically here, and then the draft will be right around the corner. So mock drafts, all that stuff will be coming out. We have a few guests hopefully coming, whether that's after combine or before combine. I know the few prospects that we already did reach out, a few of them actually decided to decline until after combine. I know we had that last year, I believe Jackson Tuchinski kind of, when we reached out to Jackson last year, he mentioned the same thing, that he wanted to stay focused on his combine training, etc., which we love. I think that shows a lot about the young athletes' character going forward, and they're going to be able to prove themselves in those interviews and that combine and whatnot. So let's tell you a little bit about what we got going on. When we recorded episode 51, we kind of teased it. It is now official that we are partnered with Royal Retros. Huge shout out to not only Royal Retros, but Shane over at 13th Man Football for kind of being the guy that set things up. And with that, we officially launched our merchandise line over on Royal Retros platform. So if you guys head over to royalretros.com, you guys will be able to find our Canadian Football Fanatics merch, our 13th Man Football merch, as well as Shane and Coach's new show, Trench Talk, which is going to be focused on the trenches, just based on the title. And I believe they've already upped episode 2. I believe they just uploaded. So head over there, guys. Check that out over on the 13th Man Football YouTube channel. But as you guys can see here, super cool. We have both shirts for, as I pull away from the microphone, but we have shirts for CFF, and we have shirts for 13th Man Football as well. And Trench Talk, the Trench Talk series or show also has a shirt available over on the Royal Retros platform. So huge shout out to Royal Retros for collaborating with us. A little small platform like both of the 13th Man and CFF. So greatly appreciative, and hopefully we can use that opportunity and trampoline it forward for Shane, Coach, Blake, and myself. So head over there. I'll leave the link in the description below, and you guys can check out that. As well as they do a great job of, I believe they're partnered with the CFLPA as well, so they offer a ton of CFLPA All-Star as well as CFLPA merchandise, as well as they have all of the CFL Retro and even a ton of other retro jerseys and stuff like that you can buy. I know they've not collaborated, but guys like Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, I'm trying to think, Fred Warner, other guys like that have worn some other retro jerseys in the past that they sell, and super cool to partner with a company like Royal Retro. So as I mentioned, we'll leave the link in the description below. So other than that, folks, episode 50 going to come at you guys. We're going to be sitting down with Matthew Peterson, running back for the Blue Bombers, recently acquired, right? He was, thinking back on it. We're going to get into it. He was traded actually probably around this time, maybe a month or two maybe a month in advance. Like I want to say maybe it was March or April, where he was actually dealt to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who traded or not, excuse me, traded for him, who drafted him. But as I said, folks, if you guys actually want to learn a little bit more about Matthew's journey, you guys can go find the previous episode with Matthew. This one will be a little bit of a quicker one, probably about 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll get out of here and get it uploaded to you guys. So looking forward to this one. I believe that's about it in terms of reminders, as Diggs is trying to come say hi. Come say hi, buddy. Looks like he's just waking up from a little nap. But let's send it over to our episode 50 guest right now. Alrighty, Fanatics, a returning guest for episode 50. Winnipeg Blue Bombers are running back. Matthew Peterson joins us. Matthew, thanks for joining us. How are we doing?
Not too bad. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, buddy. So as I mentioned, returning guest had you on, I believe it was 24 spring, just as we entered the draft and whatnot. So thank you for returning. Won't probably have you as long as we had you last time. And for anybody that is wanting to learn a little bit more about Matthew's journey, go check out that episode. It was a fantastic one. But let's get started kind of recently and work our way backwards, almost opposite of last episode. So let's start with the offseason, Matthew. I think kind of at this time you come off of Christmas and kind of like you start to maybe get that itch to get back to football. You start to go train. You start to get training again, and kind of like, man, is it June already? Like, let's get to it. But how's the offseason treating you so far, Matthew?
No, man, it's been treating me very well. We just kicked everything off at the beginning of January, so we're about a month and a half in, almost 2 months in. Just hitting the weight room, hitting the field as much as we can. We go about 4 days a week, weekends off and Wednesday off. So yeah, no, man, I've been itching at the bit to get going here, man. I'm getting excited for the second year to go here or to go to Winnipeg and man, put in some work and get together with the boys. Man, it's getting to be that time again. So getting real excited.
And I know you're a guy that, whether there's cameras there or cameras not, you're a guy that's going to be grinding during the offseason and whatnot. I see you've been quite active on social media, training actually with a former teammate of yours at U of A with Tyshawn and kind of, is it, I believe, Sandbox Athletics. Maybe tell us a little bit about what you guys have been doing and kind of that I'm sure that iron sharpens iron, that competition that you and Tyshawn have been able to do, two CFL guys, two Golden Bears, I'm sure proud Golden Bear alumni. So tell us a little bit about kind of that training and what you guys have been up to.
Yeah, no, training with Tyshawn, like, dude, it would have been all throughout university. Every summer we were hitting the field, hitting the weight room together, so it's nothing new there. Something we've always done. We did open up kind of like a new training program just for like all the youngins, and we're gonna be running camps here, and this is with that's for like Sandbox Athletics, so it's Tyshawn Blackburn, David Kolkman, and then Chevy Thomas and myself. So we're just right now we're just kind of hitting the social media part, showing off our training, a little bit of what we do here and there. And then yeah, we just give out some drills, just drills that we do every day on every Friday for our individuals. So we're just showing out what we do and what works, and what got us to this next level, and just to help out the younger generation. So yeah, no, man, it's been always a pleasure working with Tyshawn. It's always a competition between him and I on the field. It's who's fastest, who's the sharpest, and then in the weight room, of course, who's the strongest. But we all know who that is. So, so yeah,
Yes,
no, it's always a pleasure going with him and working out with him. So yeah, iron always sharpens iron at the end of the day.
Yes, I love it. It's been awesome to follow you guys along with the social media posting and whatnot. And as I mentioned, I know the type of guy that you are, whether the cameras are on or they're off, you're a guy that's going to be, training as hard as he can during the offseason and being sure that he's ready for his opportunity. And speaking about that, man, I mean, what a season you have for your first, I guess 24 you get drafted, or 24 you get drafted. But, last year you kind of was your first full professional season as you went back to U of A for your fifth and final year. Take us through that. I'm sure it was a very whirlwind. You kind of get introduced to pro football, and we'll talk all about all that sort of stuff. But you end up moving places and kind of end up the first game of the season for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You come onto the scene and was awesome to follow you along. And kind of, as I mentioned, you just waited for your opportunity. You were ready for it and kind of jumped all over it. So take us through kind of, now that you've had a little bit of time to digest, we're going to enter March. How much of maybe how it's exciting and how fun it was for your first professional season.
Yeah, man. Just like you said, like you always have to be ready for that moment. Always got to be ready for any opportunity that comes my way, and it came for the first game, and I like for the first game of the season, like I still so surreal for me, man. Like words can't describe, like being able to go out there and being able to just perform in front of, all those fans and being able to perform for the guys that you practice with, man, because that's who you go to war with every day. And so like, man, it's been like this year was honestly like I still can't, like, it's so surreal still, because you work all this time and all those moments fly by in college football and everything like that, and then you're in the pros, and you're in your rookie season, you're working with Willie Jefferson, you're working with Brady Oliveira, like, dude, it's insane, like it's so surreal to me, but like it's honestly, now that we're heading into March, like I know what to expect now. And that's the biggest thing, is like the expectations. So you understand what's expected of you. You understand, what works, what doesn't, what can push you, what you can do more of. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Especially like learning all that I have this year. Yeah, no, dude, it's been quite the ride, and I'm excited to go into the second year and start off hot, man, because I'm telling you, it's gonna be fun.
Damn right. Great answer. I knew you'd never be satisfied with just that little bit of success. Always going to continue to chase to get better, and that 1% better every day. I would imagine you guys are attacking that during your guys' program and training and stuff like that. So take us through that, Matthew. I mean, quite the debut. As you guys, you had a bye week to start the season last year. Obviously, me and BC, big BC Lions fan. I followed the team a little bit last year, so kind of the news, or kind of, I guess I shouldn't say the news, because Brady started that game, if I do remember correctly, ended up, I believe, sustaining an injury after that first, maybe it was the first drive. I do remember Brady kind of running all over us that initial drive, and I believe you guys marching it down the field for a touchdown and kind of being like, man, like, here we go again in Winnipeg. You already mentioned about the fans and the atmosphere at Princess Auto Stadium. I mean, take us through, your first regular season game as a pro, and you end up going for over 100 yards, had the long touchdown run, 20 something carries, I believe, just over 20 carries or something like that. And I would imagine the rush of adrenaline once you hit that end zone, the pointing up into the crowd. I would imagine that is that to friends and family, I would think.
Yeah,
So
man.
maybe just take us through that. I would imagine just the competitor you are. Everyone talks about, like, if you have nerves, that's a good thing, right? That means you care. That means you really want to do well. So I would imagine the nerves going into that one, and then just to hit it out of the park, it's got to feel good.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, going into your first professional game, you always have your nerves. It's one thing to be nervous, and I've always been taught, like, you can be nervous all you want, because at the end of the day, it shows you care, and but it's one thing to be scared, like you can never be scared to go in there and be able to perform. And so, when that opportunity arose, and I see Brady go down, which was very unfortunate, but we got going, and we kept it going like it was with him. And so, like, it was like that. As soon as the opportunity arose, my O-line coach came over, tapped me on my thigh, and he was like, "Hey, man, have fun." And have fun did I do? I sure had fun, man. Like, I went out there, and like, it's football at the end of the day. Like, no matter what level you're at, it's football at the end of the day. It's a kid's game, so that's how you have to treat it. You have to have fun with it. So, I kind of got the first few runs underneath my belt. Kind of got the nerves and the jitters out, and after that, it was just game, baby. And I got that handoff. We got the outside zone going, and man, I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear anything. Like, I just ran down. I did pure adrenaline, pure instinct. Went, scored, and then as soon as I heard the cannons go off, that's when I heard everything. The crowd erupts, and then my wife and my mom were up in the stands that game. So I had to give the point out to them, man, because they've been through everything with me, and they've always been my biggest supporters. And how could you not share that moment with them? Like, that's the first thing that popped in my mind, is, what I've got. It's not just myself at the end of the day that I've gotten here. My mom got me here, my wife got me here. So that touchdown was for them, and at the end of the day, that touchdown was also for all the fans, man, because they came out there for the first game after a bye week, and they supported their butts off, man. And it's one thing to play in a quiet crowd, but it's another to truly be there and to play in front of a crowd that loves you, man, and loves this sport and loves this team. And and also being able to sit there and score and turn around, and there's your teammates right in front of your face. Like, that's who you do it for at the end of the day too, man, because like I said before, is those are the guys you go to work for every day, work with every day, bleed with. And that was for them as well, man. That was to show them that you can trust in me too, and that regardless of any situation, I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be prepped, and I'm gonna be ready for it. So that was for them, man.
Awesome answer. I love to hear that about your mom and your wife and stuff like that. And maybe just talk a little bit about more and kind of give the fans a little bit more insight into, I played some junior football. I was a backup quarterback for, 3 seasons with the Vancouver Island Raiders. So I understand kind of that, next man mentality to kind of like, you always have to be ready as a player, right? And Brady ends up going down. You don't really know kind of the severity, I would imagine, in the first half till maybe you get to the locker room. But, it's kind of like, as you mentioned, it's just ball at the end of the day, right? Let's grab my helmet. Let's go on for the series and let's play ball at the end of the day. And that's what you did. So maybe just take fans into that, like how you have to kind of stay prepared where, you're not playing much special teams. You're not playing many snaps on offense with a guy like Brady, who's kind of that bell cow running back. And you, like you said, kind of take the first, few carries, first few series to feel yourself out. But then you end up hitting that and popping that run. And then more ends up coming. Those 3s, 4-yard runs turn into, 8, 9s, and 10-yard runs later in the game.
Yeah, man, like, like initially it all starts with your preparation at the end of the day. You may not be starting at the end of the day. You may be second string, and that's okay. You have to prepare like you're starting that game. And, it doesn't matter if it's the first game or it's the last game of the season. You have to be prepped. You have to be ready. So like, that night, like the night before, I'm sitting there, I'm going through my notebook, going through all the plays, because you never know again when when it's your time, when it's your number to getting called. So, I prepped that night, made sure I knew every call, made sure I knew my job at the end of the day. Just to minimize, the mistakes and to go out there and just play the game at a good level, at a high level, and to be able to perform. And like I went there, went through all my notebooks, went through everything I needed to be prepped. And then when it came to game day, it's just it's just not allowing the moment to be bigger than what it is. It's being present, being there, and just not thinking about every possibility, not thinking about every single play in the playbook. It's thinking about the one play at a time. What's ahead of you at the end of the day? And that's what I thought about. When I got thrown in, it was like, hey, yes, go have fun, but like it's a play at a time. You may get 1 yard, you may get 2 yards. Shit, you may get 4, you may get 5, and then here you go busting out 29. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, it's just being prepped, it's being prepared. You treat every day like you're gonna start. And that's where how the best do it, man. The best prep like they're starting every game, even if they're not. Being prepped, thinking about every scenario beforehand, and just going out there and just balling out and just being able to adapt to what you see and being able to adapt to every scenario that there is. And so, man, when the time came, again, it's just football at that point. You already went through every scenario the night prior. You already went through all your plays the night prior. Now it's just a simple part, and that's going out there and playing the game, baby.
Love it. I love the making sure that you're prepped, making sure that you're ready, and making sure that you're acting like you are a starter. Because the business that is pro football, we'll talk about it in here in a little bit, right? You may get that opportunity, but if you're not prepared and you fumble that opportunity, maybe you don't get another opportunity, and you kind of are out of the league before you even understand what was in front of you. So to be mature and to be understand that you have to be ready like that is awesome. So let's kind of rewind our way back as well. You end up getting traded, and we'll get to the trade. But as I mentioned, with kind of following your career and whatnot, you end up, I feel like, making a huge impression during the preseason, and kind of maybe made the coaching staff really think and ponder, like, hey, we need this guy to be on our roster and to have a jersey on game day. And obviously you look at, a guy like Brady who's in front of you, and that makes sense to have a national back him up. You also look at, I believe it's Michael Krislak, who's another national in your running back room. So kind of a trio of Canadian backs. How important do you think that was for you to kind of really attack the preseason and really take advantage of your opportunities?
Again, like it just like the opportunities just don't come on game day, right? Like the opportunities come in practice. Opportunities come in the preseason. Opportunities happen in training camp. So it's just like, really, like, for me, it's, dude, I attack every day as it's like a game. Every practice you have to treat it like it's a game, because if you treat it like a game, or you treat it harder than what it would be in game, then the game becomes easy for me. So, or even for anyone, and at the end of the day, so like it was my thought process going through training camp and going through preseason was just at play at a time, play at a time, make that play, that opportunity that you have, the best one that you can possibly make it. And I wasn't thinking about the outcome at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, I knew my outcome. My outcome was, I will make a roster, I will make a team. And that's my mentality. I will make your team, regardless if it's me playing a role where I have to back Brady Oliveira up, or whether I have to go on special teams. I will make your team. And that's just the mentality that I have. And I will, and every opportunity that you give me, I will provide you with that work to show you that I will make your team. So that's what the mentality was. It was, yes, it's okay to, again, be nervous. This is my second training camp. This is my rookie season. This is for me to make a spot on this team, and that's okay, and nerves do happen. But at the end of the day, man, I'm there to take advantage of every opportunity I can get, and to be able to play this game for the long run, man, and be able to make this continue making this my career. So it was just one of those things where it's like, man, like I'm gonna go out there. I'm just gonna make plays. I'm just gonna go out there every day. I'm gonna get 1% better every day. If I make one mistake one day, I'll make sure it won't happen again. Because in that way, I know that I will be unlocking all my boxes are checked. So that way, I will make your team, and I will have that jersey on at the end of the day. So yeah, no, it was just one of those things where it was just like confidence. You have to have confidence in yourself, and confidence in what you do, and that carries you a long way. And so I had to be there in that dorm room, watching through all the tape, and watching through all the what Brady Oliveira does, watching what Willie Jefferson does on the defensive side, being able to watch Tony Jones and see what he throws out, and being able to know, hey, I'm there right along with them, and I can play too. So it was just having that confidence and knowing that I can go out there and I can ball, and just showing that at the end of the day, no matter if I'm a national player, no matter if I'm an international player, no matter if I come from America, it doesn't matter. I'm a football player, and I can play ball regardless of where I'm at and where I come from. So that was just my mentality for it.
Damn right, brother. I'll drink to that. So, let's talk a little bit about kind of, I'm sure you could have a ton of welcome to the CFL moments, but for a young player, you end up, as I mentioned, you kind of get drafted in 24, you end up getting sent back to, or whatever the decision was there. You end up going back to school for your fifth and final year. You end up, I would imagine, in your head kind of preparing to go back out to Hamilton. And then I believe around this time last year, you end up getting dealt to Winnipeg. Now, as a young player, I'm sure you could process it many different ways, right? Where you could maybe fold, you could think, man, this team's giving up on me. But I think a lot of players that you talk to about getting traded, they're like, man, like this team traded for me. They wanted me, right? They wanted my services. So take us through kind of that process for yourself and how you were handling it as a young player in the league.
Yeah, man, it was, and like again, man, that was such a surreal moment too, man. Like waking up on my honeymoon, draft day, yeah, it was like,
Oh,
dude, in the morning, man, like it was like woke up on my last day of my honeymoon. It was in the morning, draft day. missed a few phone calls too. Like I woke up, passed my alarm, and I had a crazy feeling because I was like I couldn't go to bed that night, and like dude, it was like 3 a.m. I was like, man, I can't sleep. Like, man, like I don't know what's going on. So then I just fell asleep, past my alarm, and then I wake up and I'm looking at my phone. I look at Instagram blowing up, and it's like Matthew Peterson this, Matthew Peterson that. I look at my phone. I'm missing a phone call from Coach O'Shea. My agents contacting me, telling me, hey, I got something going on. There's news. You got to call me. And like he's trying to get a hold of my wife as well. So like I was just like I was astonished. I was just like, okay, like talk to him, and I was just like, wow, like it's one thing to go out and like to be cut and like you know get signed back and be ready, but then again it's like you're gotten traded for what, the one of the Grey Cup contenders, like a Grey Cup contender that won, that just went to the Grey Cup. Like it means a lot. Like they obviously see something in you, at the end of the day. And you just have to go with the role. You have to go with the punches. Like the name of the game is to adapt, right? Like I woke up not knowing what was going on. I was going to Hamilton that morning, my thought was, and then boom, waking up, I'm like, whoa, something. I'm a Winnipeg Blue Bomber now. So it was just like it was so surreal, man. Like it's at the end of the day, like I'm very blessed and very fortunate that I got to be able to go out there and play and represent Winnipeg. At the end of the day, like man, like that city, like the city, the fans, the culture that they have, like dude, it's the culture is damn near like the U of A when we had it when we were in Story, right? So I mean, like it was just like wow, like I'm going back to a football town where you have sellouts after sellouts, and they have the fans loving you, and you have a great coaching staff, and you have a great organization. So I mean, like that morning I woke up and I was like, dude, I'm a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, and I'm excited and I'm ready to roll. Like And then I was like, hey, and I get to work with the best, man. I get to work with Brady Oliveira. I get to understand his game. I get to pick his brain a little bit, and and you get to work with people on the defensive side. And I already shouted Tony Jones out, man. Like you get to work with Tony Jones, who's a CFL All Star, and you get to practice with him and see what what he does that makes him stand out with other linebackers. That you can, if you work with the best, you become the best at the end of the day. Iron sharpens iron, so yeah, no, dude, I was just excited to get there, dude, get to work. And like the feeling was so surreal because, again, man, you gotten traded to a Grey Cup contender and a Grey Cup championship team, and a vet ready team, dude, that has vets ready and that have been there and that have played. So it's just like, man, like I was number one in shock, but then number two, I was ready to roll, baby, and I was excited. So no, dude, like that morning, it's just like a lot of emotion, but man, it was exciting. I can tell you that.
Yeah, introduced to the business of pro football very quickly, right? Where you like you said, you're kind of expecting to go back to Hamilton. Things are going on behind the scenes, and moves are being made. So very cool to see, as you mentioned, kind of going to a Grey Cup contending team, a team that is veteran and ready to win now. And then, as you mentioned, with Brady and guys even like Zach Collaros, right, a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback that's kind of leading the way up front. So let's dial it back a little bit, as you mentioned, with you kind of go to the Ticats training camp. You end up coming back to school. At that point, as I mentioned about kind of getting traded, a lot of young players could take it a lot of different ways, right? Getting maybe sent back, they could think of it as a demotion. Tell us about kind of a little bit about your mindset at that time where we're like, hey, I'm just going back and I'm going to dominate whatever it is, whatever capacity it is. I'm just going to try to do my best and kind of understand that this is a trampoline for me to go into next year at full force.
And just like you said, man, like a lot of people, they think like they're not good enough when you get cut, and that's okay. Like, man, the one thing that I've always been told is like you may get hit, you may fall down, but it matters how you get up. Like at the end of the day, like I got cut. I got cut by a team that, may have saw something different in me that Winnipeg does, and so like, bro, at the end of the day, like I could have two options. I could fold, or I could go there and have that same confidence of going there and be like, hey, you know what? I got cut. That's okay. Cause I got another year where I can still prove who I am. I got another year of football underneath my belt where I can go and ball out, continue to show who Matthew Peterson is, and and make the steps that I may not have made in the training camp prior, but I can make the steps in now to solidify who I am and to solidify me as a football player and to solidify my game at the end of the day. And puts me another year in school. So I mean, I'm almost done school, so I can't complain about that. And because footballing lasts for so long, you have to have something else. You're more than a football player. So it. I got another year off my belt of school, so I can't complain about that. But then again, man, the football part, like I knew where I was gonna end up at the end of the day, and that was gonna be on a professional field, regardless. Regardless, it was gonna be on a professional field, and that's what I always had my mindset on. And if I had my mindset up on when I was 8 years old, man, when I got told when I couldn't make it, and when I couldn't make it to the professional league, when I had my own father telling me I wasn't gonna make it professionally. So like at the end of the day, if you're getting told I will make it at the end of the day, because I may have gotten cut, and that's okay. They may have said, you may not make it this year, but I'll make it next year, and then I'll make it the year after that, and then I'll continue to make it until the wheels fall off. And so that's the biggest thing like I thought about is like at the end of the day, I'm gonna stay true to me, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna ball regardless if I wear a gold and black and gold jersey, regardless if I wear a green and gold jersey, and regardless if I wear a blue and gold jersey. It don't matter. I'm gonna ball out, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna play professional football, and that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what I'm gonna continue to do. And so that's what my mindset was the whole time is, man, at the end of the day, I can sit here. Don't get me wrong. I shedded tears. I shedded tears about it. I cried, of course. At the end of the day, I can sit there and wallow. I can sit there and say what could have been, or I can sit here and I can say what's going to be. And I chose what's going to be versus what could have been. Because I'm going to be here and I'm going to continue to ball and I'm going to continue to make this my career, regardless if I've gotten cut by one team because another team saw what I have and I show the league. So that's my biggest thing. So that's what was going through my mindset during that time.
Let's go, dog. You got me fired up. I'm about to run through a wall here for you. I love that mindset though. Like you mentioned, just kind of like attacking it full force. And a lot of players could go either way, right? As you mentioned about folding, we actually just had on AJ Allen for episode 49, and he actually talked about kind of the same similar situation, right, where he got drafted by Saskatchewan, got actually sent back, similar to you, for his fifth year at school, went back and had a great year, right, and kind of dominated, made sure that he really focused on like kind of elevating himself and trying to get better, the 1% better, as we talked about. And as both you guys are doing, succeeding in your careers, as you said, I may not make it this year, but I'm going to make your team and I'm going to continue to make it going forward. So let's get back into the Golden Bears, where I feel like you guys really, there's a ton to talk about. We'll obviously try to keep it to as small as we can, but you know, you go there, you have a ton of success. And when we talked to you last time, you had a ton of pride in like kind of the evolution in that program was. I believe you kind of like some early years, you guys struggled a little bit. You end up going and we're, you know what, I don't want to bring back too many bad scars, but like moments away from beating UBC to go to the national semifinal. I could see you smirking your face and remembering those games. But you know, I believe you guys take them to the best record, I think, in what was it, 2 decades or something like that. Canada West Player of the Year in 2023, first team All Canadian. When thinking back about your time at U of A, what kind of maybe comes to mind in terms of, you know, some memories or whatever it may be?
Yeah, no, man, like I always think like back to when like the reason why I signed to U of A, like whenever I think about it, is like I wanted to create a legacy at the end of the day. And like I wanted to create something that was bigger than myself. And I wanted to, I've been down and out my life. And that's where I seen like this program, and like this program was struggling before I came. And they had a few good players, during those years, but like nothing had really materialized. And I just seen like, this team is struggling. I've struggled, and I've kind of seen that like that that kind of like mutual feeling of like, you know, sitting here getting doubt casted on you and everything like that. So I was like, I'm gonna go to the U of A. I'm gonna make sure like I create a legacy, not just for myself, but for the program. Something that stands longer than me, man. At the end of the day, like I wanted to put in, you know, my work. I wanted to have my work show, no matter where you go, you can ball out. You can be your football player. You can be who you want to be. You can build what you want to build. And mine just was happening with the U of A. And so through that, man, I just wanted to, you know, bring a standard, like bring a standard where all the guys around me could come in, could play, could hold that standard and everything like that. And it wasn't for myself either. Like I wanted to make sure, one of our starting center, Daniel Shin, I wanted to make sure, his legacy was submitted. I wanted to make sure Tyshawn's was cemented. I wanted to make sure, that those guys around me, that 6-2 record that we had in that Hardy Cup wasn't just for me. It was for the U of A at the end of the day. It was for that foundation to build to what that program could be one day. And so like I always think back to to my memories, man. My memories were always just like, man, it was always what could I do to make make this bigger than myself? What could I do to not just prove that Matthew Peterson's a good football player and that could go to be a professional football player, but what could I do to help this program? What could I do? What could I show that this program has, man, that any other program doesn't? What could I do? And that's, I could go out here, I could ball out, I can show the development side, I could show who I was my first year and ended up evolution to my fifth year, man. I could show you my grades and how I worked hard to get back to where I was. But at the end of the day, like, man, the only thing I wanted to ever show was the legacy of, bomb football, brotherhood of mean bears. That's what I wanted to show at the end of the day, man. And I wanted to show you that, what, Matthew Peterson was one part of an amazing team full of another 100 guys, man. That that you could have more than just me, man. That you have, again, you had Carter Kettle is a dog, man. So like it was just me being able to go out there and being able to play with the best guys that I've possibly ever played with, and like being able to show off their show, that be able to show them off. I was only one part. I wanted to make sure that ground game, You knew who was coming. You knew you had a game plan for him. You had to. You know who you had to set up against every Saturday. Every Saturday night, you know who you had to go up against. But let alone, you had Carter Kettle down there. You had Jonathan Rosary. You had Colby Horford. You have all these other weapons that are going to be used. You have Chevy Thomas that can be used, and like that were used. And so it was just like I was able to. My biggest thing was like, man, I was able to take the ground game to a level where like it opened up the passing game to show those guys that those guys' skills and that their tool belts were just as thick and were just as loaded as mine. So I just wanted to show like that was my biggest memory, man, is being able to like you know, go out there, ball out, not just for myself, but ball out for the guys that were on offense and ball out for the guys who are on defense, and get those boys pumped up when I come off from a good yard, from a good hard run, and have the defense scream in my face, man. I love when defense is screaming in my face. I love that. I would want that, that's my fondest memories. Had butting Tyshawn, and being like, yeah, we're here, having that energy and being able to share that with everyone on the field, man, and being able to showcase everyone else's skill set at the end of the day.
Forgive me. Was it Jonathan Giustini as well? Your guys' safety?
Yes, Jonathan Giustini.
Yeah, he was a dog as well. I remember watching back a lot of Saturdays. You mentioned Canada West Saturdays. He was a player that flew around, at safety, but also kicker. He filled in a lot of roles and kind of did his job at a high level. So when thinking back about your career, you had a numerous amount of highlight videos and kind of some earlier memories of you, kind of comparing that RB class from the Canada West. I believe there was Stubbs and Frank and Isaiah Knight out at UBC, and a lot of guys were kind of like, who's going to be the pro and all this class of guys, right? And when I saw, Matthew Peterson run the ball, that's a pro back to me. And as I mentioned about the ton of highlights, I remember a ton at UBC, the long touchdown runs and whatnot. Is there any that come to mind in terms of maybe like a favorite of yours, whether you're at U of A or just a memory of yours from one of your, many highlights?
Yeah, no, man, I would honestly like I'm always gonna say this. It was, that 2023 year when we traveled to Sask. That was probably my favorite game because Sask is known for ball. Sask is you don't lose in Griffith Stadium. They know they don't lose in Griffith Stadium. And so, man, we walk in there and man, the energy was flowing, man. The energy was on both sides of the team, like man, defense, offense, special teams. We were on fire. And like it wasn't just myself, dude, it was everybody. And so that was my fondest moment. It was like walking Griffith Stadium. It's like that whole like the whole meme of, walk in your trap, take over your trap. Exactly what's going through my mind. I was, I'm walking, I'm taking over. This is my stadium. I'm gonna take over. And like, dude, like honestly, probably my best game. And I won't even say like the best run I probably had was shutting the game out. Was dude when you need those 2-3 hard yards on a second down to close the game out. Like that was my fondest moment. It was being able to, yeah, I go off for I have a 101-yard run or whatever, and I have like spurts of 15, 20 here. But dude, those hard runs where you're soul crushing, where like they have to do everything in their power to stop you, and they can't. And you still put the boots on. 2 or 3 hard yards, second down, and I'm gonna get it, and I finish it, man. That was probably like my one of my favorites, man. I think probably all time favorite, either that or like the I would even say like the playoff game between Sask, man. Like again to close the game out, we're on midfield. We have to get a first down. I take off for like a spurt of like 12 or 15, get us a first down that we needed, crucial first down. Boom, solidified the game. It was just like, dude, again, when it comes to Sask, like, dude, they're dogs. They don't lose. They don't like to lose. They hate losing. And like they breed football players over there. Like it's football over there. And like, man, being able to go there and it's the Golden Bears this, and they're playing, I'm a teddy bear, this and that. Oh man, I loved every bit of it because this teddy bear went up there, put his bootstraps on, and went to work. And you couldn't do a thing to stop him. And you couldn't do a thing to stop the Bears at the end of the day. You couldn't do anything to stop the bomb in that day. And like those were probably my favorite games, man. Like just to go over there and like just to put the boots onto a team that knows that, dude, they hate losing, that all they do is win. Like, man, I loved every bit of that. And like that was my fondest moment. I'm not gonna lie.
I love that. A lot of players and rightfully so they could go to a highlight reel run or maybe a career long run and you just go with the demoralizing backbreaking runs. The as you mentioned, like the runs that you could like as a player, I'm sure you feel like you could feel them breaking over there. Like continue to feel like feed me, coach. Like I can feel that they are breaking right now, and I'm winning. And as you said, it doesn't even have to be those first down runs. It's like those 4, 5, 6 yard runs where it takes 5, 6 guys to rally to the football and try to bring you down. So fabulous answer. I love to hear that. I wanted to ask you because I know how much you kind of looked up to this guy and respected him and was a huge part of building your guys' program. But about Chris Morris and kind of being able to see him get an opportunity professionally with the Edmonton Elks and kind of go into a front office role, right? And he gets to kind of showcase himself with the U of A program. Really built that program up from the ground up. Spent some hard years kind of establishing that program, and he gets to get rewarded for his hard work, right? And gets the professional opportunity. I'm sure as your coach through U of A and now rivals when you guys see them in Edmonton. But how cool is that for you? I'm sure you were very excited for him as your coach.
Yeah, no, man, like it again, man, I like words can't describe like how much Morris means to me, and like, man, means to the kids at the U of A, means to all the alumni at the U of A, man. Like words can't describe, like, dude, I would do anything for that man at the end of the day. Like, dude, he like bless him, man, because he deserved every bit of that. And he honestly was one of the ones that showed me that, dude, it's bigger than yourself at the end of the day. He's in there before every 6 a.m. runs. 6 a.m. runs, he's in there at 5 o'clock. An hour early. No one's in the building besides him. You would think that he would leave right after everyone's done the workouts and everything like that. He don't leave until 8 o'clock that night. Like, dude, he showed you, like, man, his passion, his his relentlessness, and like attacking every day, dude, and like showing that it's bigger than him. And like, dude, he deserves to go out there and to be sitting as the CEO of the Elks, man. He deserves it, because at the end of the day, he's not just putting it on for the Elks, he's putting it on for the city of Edmonton at the end of the day. And that's what the cool part is. Like, man, seeing that, a team that's been struggling for the past few years, and then to turn it around like within a year and continue to build, like, dude, it's like kudos to him, man. Like, you had, like, I seriously, he deserves it. The city of Edmonton deserves him. Like, that's what, like, a lot of people don't realize. Like, this man was a teacher at Harry Ainley before even, or a principal. He was a principal before even going in to being the head coach at the U of A. That shows you that he was there for the future generations. And now he's in a position where, he can give back tenfold, where he can give back to the kids that he was once teaching, to teach, or to give those kids an opportunity through football, and to be able to give back in the community, man. Like, he's doing amazing work here in Edmonton. And so I had to give, like I said, man, I had to give my hats off to him. Like, he deserves it. He's an amazing leader. Like, man, words can't describe the qualities of that man. I will tell you that. And like, I'm just happy that he was able to stay in Edmonton and be able to continue building his legacy, and not just his legacy, but like Edmonton's legacy. Either if it was at the U of A or if it's at the professional level with the Elks, not just as a player, but as a CAO. So yeah, man, like, man, I'm excited for him. Of course, like, dude, I'm very, very grateful for having the time that I have with him and having him as my coach. And I'm very, very blessed to be able to have been a part of his teams, and have been able to learn from him and how to be a leader from him. And man, like, again, like, the city of Edmonton is very blessed to have a man like him, because, dude, he does an amazing work at making it bigger than himself, and showing that the work does pay off at the end of the day. And that, dude, at the end of the day, like, it's going to last longer than any of us. Like, at the end of the day, the Elks will stand longer than he will, and that I will. That U of A will stand longer than he will, than I will. Like, and at the end of the day, dude, he's doing it for the future generations of not just like football, but, dude, of Edmonton specifically. So yeah, man, like, hats off to him. And like, dude, like I said, like, he's an amazing, amazing leader, amazing human being, and just, man, it's very well deserved, the position that he has.
Yeah, I remember when we sat down last time and kind of you spoke so glowingly of him. You lit back up again when we brought up Coach Morris. So had to ask you and kind of just I mentioned just to get that opportunity. Super cool to kind of, as you said, be the guy that's in charge and running the show over there. I know Ed Harvey as general manager as well, a guy that you're familiar with. I believe actually was in Hamilton when they drafted you, I believe. So super cool and wishing them and Edmonton best of luck this season. Last few for you, Matthew, before we get you out of here, brother. So I appreciate your time once again. I want to get into the Canadian side of things. And obviously there's kind of the goats of, Andrew Harris and John Cornishes and, Jerome Messams, all the Canadian backs that have come and gone in the CFL. And now there's the current Canadian backs, right? With obviously Brady and guys like Augustine and Daniel Adeboboye, who might get an opportunity in Ottawa, right? Is super cool. In Sask, Bertrand Houdon, I believe is how you pronounce his name, another Canadian back, right? In your mind, and I know how much confidence you have, and people, I hope they don't confuse it with cockiness, but in your mind, what do you think kind of makes you the next guy that can be like a that consistent and reliable Canadian back that kind of can prove that over the next 3-5 years, if you need a guy that can kind of step into the lineup, I'm going to be able to be prepared and step in the lineup and do my job.
Yeah, man, like, shout out to all the greats, shout out to all the current guys. Like, man, they're here for a reason, and we're all here for a reason at the end of the day. And we all have our own skill sets, and you know, at the end of the day, man, like, I just want to be able to show that I can do all three things, all three facets of being a football or a running back at the end of the day. I want to be able to show I can run the rock. And I'm pretty sure I've been able to show that and be able to go out there and ball. I want to be able to go out there and be able to show that, hey, this dude can pass pro. Like, if you need a block that can be picked up, he can pick it up. And, like I take pride in, having the quarterback stay up. That's my job. If the ball is not in my hands at the end of the day, that quarterback needs to be standing up and have dirt free. That's my job at the end of the day. So I take pride in pass pro and take pride in blocking, man. Like for my guys. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to be a receiver, and you got to be able to go out there. You got to be able to run routes, route someone up. You got to be able to turn your head, be able to catch that ball and go upfield. So I mean, that's one of the things that I feel very confident in myself. Man, I want to play this game for a very long time, and so I make sure that I can pass pro like a guard, like a tackle. I want to be able to go out there and catch a ball like Nick Dembski. I want to be able to run a route like Nick Dembski. At the end of the day, I want to be modeling my other aspects of my game just like the other greats, man. Like I want to be able to show that Kenny Lawler can run a route, get up and go and get it. I want to be able to, in my own size, in my own capacity, do that. I want to be able to go up and get a ball when you need, coach. I need to do that. Again, like when it comes to running the rock, I want to run the rock like Andrew Harris. I want to run the rock like a little bit of Brady Oliveira, but have my own style to it. And I want to be able to, at the end of the day, have my own game. I want to model my game after a few, but I want to have my own game where it's distinct, where I'm prepped, I'm ready, that in any situation I will be there, I'll be ready. Any opportunity I get, I will arise to it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I want to be able to show you that, hey man, I can ball in any aspect. That if one guy shows you he can do one thing, I want to be able to show I can do all of them. And that's where the confidence is, and that's what I've worked on my whole entire life, was showing that, dude, I can do all of it. That if you need me to go out there and pass pro and be a tackle, coach, I'll go out there and be a tackle. You want me to go out there and be a slot back? You know what? May not be a slot back, but I'm gonna be a slot back today. If you need me, I will be there. And that's where I want to be, and that's where I feel like in any level, that's what always sets you apart from others, man. And that's where I've always grown up on. Is at the end of the day, dude, you have to be able to be not just good at one area of being a back and one area of being a football player. You have to be good at all of the areas. And so that's where I kind of like take my pride in, and that's where I have my confidence in right now.
Awesome, Matthew. All right, last one for you, buddy, because I know that you are a proud Albertan. Brooks, Alberta, I believe, if that's correct. How cool has it been to kind of see, and obviously they're well established in the CFL, but guys like, Ao Manor and Chuba kind of get those opportunities in the NFL and really kind of establish and showcase the talent that is in Alberta. And I would imagine the pride that comes with, being an Alberta football player.
And it is cool, man. It's especially cool to see Alec, man. Like, not a lot of people know, but dude, I played against Alec my senior year, and he was a freshman at Mesnat High School when he was, playing for the Hawks there. And like, bro, it's funny because I'll go back and I'll watch my highlight tape, and here Alec is chasing me down. So it's funny, man, because it's like, bro, I went to the Alberta Summer Games trials with him. So like when he was 2 years younger than me, so it was cool, man. Because like, dude, like shout out to him because he like again, it's you have Chuba Hubbard and you have him too, man. And like going and it's so cool because it's not just one thing to, see him and go out there and see him play, dude, but to be able to play against him and to be able to see him now do the things that he does. Like, man, shout out to him, bro. Like, dude, it's so surreal to be able to see these guys go out there and play and like you played with them or you've made them play against them. So it's like, dude, shout out to him and like showing everyone, dude, that no matter where you're at, no matter where you come from, you will always be seen in a light. You will always you will have opportunity to be seen where you are. And that's what I kind of like what Coach Morris told me, man. Like, dude, it doesn't matter where you're at. If they want you, they will come looking for you. They will see you. And so like, dude, it's very cool to see like Chuba Hubbard get his time and like have a stellar year like he did. And like seeing Alec have a stellar year, and like being drafted and everything like that. Cause again, man, like those guys, they took the opportunities when they came and they arose and they arose to those opportunities and they took it and never looked back. And man, they come from Alberta. They have to compete with dudes from California, from Texas, from Florida, from Georgia. You have to compete with those guys, and man, they never once looked back, bro. They went, they took it, and they just went with it. And they by my eyes, man, they went and they said, I'm gonna be seen, regardless of where I'm from. I'm gonna be seen. So like, yeah, dude, kudos to them guys, man. Like, it's always cool to see national. It's always good to see Canadians, even like the Brown twins, I believe, like one's in Cincinnati and one's in
Philly.
Philadelphia. Yeah, so it's cool, man. Like, no matter where you come from, dude, the work sells for itself, and it'll show at the end of the day who you are, and it'll show where you are at the end of the day. So man, like kudos off to them, dude, because they're paving the way of the Canadians going down there and being with the ball too, where you hear all the time, can Canadians really play football? Well, it shows you. That shows you right then and there that it doesn't matter where you're from. You can be Canada, United States, Mexico. It don't matter. If you can play football, you can play football. And so that's what's so cool, dude, about it. So kudos to them, man. Very very high on them. Like, dude, hats off to them.
Yeah. And there's many before you guys, but along with them, you guys are setting the foundation for the next generation of guys that are, 10, 11 years old, going to, Winnipeg Blue Bombers games or whatever. And like, hey man, I'm from Alberta and Matthew Peterson's doing it. Like I can do it. Right. And same with Alec Ao Manor and Chuba, right? Where they're seeing, hey guys from my neighborhood, my city, whatever it may be, my province, if they can do it, I can do it. And they're inspiring the next generation, as I mentioned, along with yourself. So Matthew, brother, I appreciate you for hopping on here once again. Wishing you best of luck going into your second full pro season here in 2026. And I know you're going to be making that roster and excited to see you next season, buddy. So I appreciate you for hopping on once again.
Dude, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you. It's always been a pleasure joining and talking to you, brother. You take care of yourself, man.
Yes. Okay. Winnipeg Blue Bombers running back, Matthew Peterson. Alrighty, folks. Well, that was awesome, man. Matthew got me fired up about to run through some drywall here behind me. Some of those answers were fantastic and really just an excellent chat to kind of get a peek behind the curtain of Matthew's, not only his maturity, but his mentality, as a professional athlete. And even before that, right, as a college athlete as well, kind of had that maturity to his game. And obviously you can tell, right, he's already married, kind of established young man. So huge shout out to Matthew. It was an awesome conversation once again, as he is a returning guest, as we mentioned, folks. So if you guys actually wanted to go maybe hear a little bit more in depth, it is even more in depth, but it just kind of it goes, I guess, in the timeline a little bit more, where we start off from his beginnings in football, and then we work our way through, playing high school football, getting to the University of Alberta. I believe we talk a little bit about the national team as Matthew represented his country. And then we kind of get into, like, at the time he was only in his 4th year, getting ready for, I want to say, the national combine. Hadn't even been drafted yet, where we had Matthew on, kind of chatted a little bit about his U of A career, his kind of expectations and stuff like that for the upcoming his draft year and combine and whatnot. And then, that was kind of it. But it was still a great conversation. I think it was over an hour, I want to say, even beforehand. So as I mentioned, folks, go check that out. In the past, it actually be kind of a funny thing for me, the evolution of not only CFF but Canadian Football Fanatics. Not only CFF but Canadian Football Fanatics. That's the same thing. Coast to Coast Gridiron, our OG days. I want to say that was when we had Matthew on. It was with the Coast to Coast Gridiron platform, which later turned into the Canadian Football Fanatics. So go check that out, folks. It was a ton of fun to have Matthew on once again. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Sharing would be awesome, folks. If you guys could, as I mentioned, like the great Pat McAfee likes to say, be a friend, tell a friend about what we got going on here on our program. We like to focus in on the Canadian side of football, and whether you're in the CFL, NFL, U Sports, CJFL, you name it, we'll have you on, and kind of like to focus on some stories and some journeys that are maybe, a little bit more unique and different than others, and kind of get to hear their perspective and be able to allow them to kind of share their stories and maybe inspire, as I mentioned, with guys like, Alec and Chuba. Just like those two, Matthew's inspiring the next young man, young football player, I should say, could be a young female too, right? As we're seeing the Maya Turners get into U Sports. Who knows what could happen, with some, 10, 11-year-old young girl that's watching that could be inspiring to say, I want to be a young football player from Alberta. So huge shout out to Matthew once again. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, folks. We will be back very soon, as episode 51 will be dropping right after this one. So if you guys enjoyed this one, I would check back in the next day or so, and we'll have episode 51 with, drum roll please, now that it's the end of the episode, we're going to be joined by BC Lions fullback Riley Pickett in episode 51. So it was an awesome chat with Riley. Really enjoyed that one. So be sure to stay on the lookout for that one, folks, and we will catch you guys in the next one.